So let me introduce you to the team. I have 4 Hasselblad HC lenses, which I use in my Hasselblad H2. Hello, welcome back. Matt from MrLeica.com. Now the question I have for you today is image quality important? If the answer is yes, then stay tuned. Now I know on this channel we are normally talking about Leica cameras, such as the Leica M6, but with the current cost of a Leica M6, if you have the money to spend on this camera, you could easily spend the same money on a different camera, which is pretty much guaranteed to give you better image quality than you'll get from your Leica. Why is that? Because as the video title suggests, today we're talking about medium format. Now when you think about Hasselblad, you probably think of the classic Hasselblad, such as the 500cm or the 501C in this example. This is the classic Hasselblad with a 6x6 film back. Today we're not talking about this Hasselblad, we're talking about this Hasselblad. So classic Hasselblad, more modern Hasselblad, although it's not that modern anymore. So 6x6 film, 645 film. This is also known as the V Series. This is known as the H Series. If you are interested in the Hasselblad 500 cameras, I'll include a link to this video that I've already done below in the description. But for this video, we're concentrating on the Hasselblad H2 or Hasselblad H system. So if I can fit it on the screen, it looks quite bulbous. This is the Hasselblad H2, and it looks very similar to kind of all the other Hasselblad H range, whether it's H1, H2, H3, H3, 2, H4, H5, H6, they all had the same kind of design. I have done a video on this before in terms of looking at the kind of the key components. It's a modular camera, so I break it down on a video and show you kind of how it all works. If you want to see that video, I'll link that at the end of this video, and it'll also be linked in the description below. So because I've already done a video on the Hasselblad H kind of camera body itself, today we're looking at Hasselblad H lenses. Now if you're, say, a channel subscriber and your interest is Leica and you're just kind of checking this out for kind of interest, you'll probably really appreciate the kind of the small Leica lenses that we use. It's really nice to carry kind of a handful of small Leica lenses in your pocket and not really even notice. Now, word of warning, you can't do this with Hasselblad. So here's a Leica lens for us Leica shooters, and we all love our small high quality Leica optics. This is a Hasselblad lens. Leica lens, Hasselblad lens. You need quite large pockets to fit a Hasselblad lens into your pocket. Jokes aside, the Hasselblad H system is not a smaller system as a Leica. But what it does give you in return is image quality. Now, as a UK portrait photographer specialising in kind of female fashion beauty portraits, I really appreciate high quality pictures. Leica's nice, and whether it's a Leica M3, Leica M6, any other Leica camera, Leica 3, kind of Barnack Leica, all of these cameras are limited to the fact that the negatives are really small, i.e. 35mm film negatives. If you then jump up to 645 film, which is the format of this camera, the H system, if you can get a back for it, just to quickly point out, H system cameras, the new ones have got digital backs, the old ones have got film backs. Some bodies will accept a film back and a digital back. I've done a really detailed blog post on this already, so if you are interested in shooting film, I'll link that below, because not every camera body will match to a camera back. Some of them kind of don't talk to each other. But 645 format film gives you kind of 4 times-ish more kind of real estate in terms of film negative size for scanning than 35mm. So a Leica cannot really compete image quality wise compared to a Hasselblad. In the same way that Leica lenses are amazing, so are Hasselblad. The main difference being Hasselblad lenses are larger and they're also autofocus. So the smallest Hasselblad H Series lens is the 80mm, which is this one. I'll take it off to make it a fair competition. So this is the HC80 f2.8 kit lens, which you find when you buy most of the kind of Hasselblad H Series cameras. The autofocus is really quick and the images are really sharp, even at f2.8. Again, I draw the line to Leica. You pay a premium for Leica lenses because you can shoot, say, a 50mm 1.4 Summilux at 1.4 and it's sharp. Where if you buy a kind of lesser lens, you may have to stop it down to 2.8 to get it as sharp as the Leica lens at 1.4. The same is true for the Hasselblad lenses. You can shoot them wide open and they are more than sharp enough. And when you see medium format sharpness compared to 35mm sharpness, it kind of makes you question what you've been doing all your life, shooting 35mm film. The image quality is fantastic from Hasselblad. When I process 35mm film scans, I add a lot of sharpening to get the final look that I like, which I'll post on social media, Flickr and so on. Hasselblad negatives are so sharp from camera, a lot of the time I don't do any sharpening or kind of absolute minimum sharpening. So there really is quite an obvious difference in terms of the sharpness because of the film size. So what we'll do now is I'll introduce the lens and then I'll show you example photos, and then that will show you the lens characteristics from the lenses I use. So let me introduce you to the team. I have 4 Hasselblad HC lenses which I use in my Hasselblad H2, and they would be the same if you're using a Hasselblad H2, H3D, which I used to have, or even like a modern H6, for example, digital camera. So for my wide lens, I have the HC. I'll have to put them this way because they're actually too big for my screen compared to my Leica lenses, which I can kind of fill the screen with. So I'll have to show them either further back or on an angle like that. So this is my Hasselblad wide angle option. It's the Hasselblad HC 50mm. Really nice lens and actually really nice for portraits for my style of photography. I love the distortion it gives to portraits, and for me it gives kind of like a really nice fashion vibe. So all these photos are shot with the Hasselblad HC 50. And just to recap, all these photos are shot on film. Okay, now you've already seen it, but next we have the HC 80mm f2.8 kit lens, which I've just shown you. This is the smallest, and it works really well if you want to carry kind of a one lens setup for kind of the smallest possible package. Say you want to shoot overseas, such as when I travel. If I want to carry one Hasselblad lens setup to Poland, for example, I'll normally take the HC 80mm lens. Bear in mind, because it's medium format, 80mm is more equivalent to kind of a 50mm normal lens on, say, 35mm terms. I'm going to skip the next lens and I'll come back to that in a second, because that's a special lens. And then next we have my pocket lens, or it doubles as kind of a weapon. If someone tries to steal your camera, you can just like smack them over the head with it. This is the amazing, I can't fit it in the screen. This is the amazing Hasselblad HC 120mm f4 macro lens. Now, as you're probably aware, macro lenses of a lens lineup for any camera system are normally the sharpest lens in that lineup. Whether you shoot Canon and you're shooting a Canon L series macro lens, or whether you shoot, I don't know what Nikon version is. Macro lenses are ridiculously sharp. Talking from experience as a Leica shooter, the Leica Macro Elmar M 90mm f4 is probably my sharpest Leica lens of all the lenses that I own. That is silly sharp. Equally, the HC 120 is a fantastic lens. Although it's a macro lens, it works well for portraits because you can focus as close as you want for headshots without kind of needing kind of adapters or extension tubes, things like this. So if you're looking for some compression and also getting close for either detail shots or say headshots, the 120 macro is fantastic. So these photos are shot with the 120 macro. Most of the photos I'm showing you in this video are all shots wide open or close to wide open, because that's kind of how I shoot my lenses. I was really happy with the image quality from this lens, and I guess it helps that I picked a really nice model. Okay, so there are 3 kind of normal lenses, my 50, my 80 and my 120, kind of a standard trio of lenses. But then if you shoot a Hasselblad H camera, you may always wish that you shot a Contax 645 camera. Why? Because the Contax 645 system has the amazing Zeiss 80mm f2 kit lens. Why do I know this? Because I used to own and use that lens on that camera system, and that is crazy good lens. Like wide open at f2, the subject background separation is just amazing, and that's why kind of all the kind of cool wedding photographers in California, it tends to be those type of areas that are shooting colour film and overexposing, say, Kodak Portrait or Fuji Pro 400H. Nearly always their go-to camera system is a Contax 645 with an 80mm lens because of the super shallow depth of field and then the kind of really creamy backgrounds that you can get. So knowing all that, as a previous owner, it was then a little bit disappointing that the Hasselblad lenses are not fast lenses. As I say, you've got the 50mm 3.5, you've got the 80mm f2.8, and then you've got the 120mm macro f4. So they're not particularly fast lenses when you think of like Leica and using a Noctilux, for example, the 50 f1. So then I was up late one night searching the blogs and the eBays and the various things, doing my research, and I found this. Now this potentially answers all my dreams. This is the Hasselblad HC 100mm f2.2 lens. So 100mm f2.2 is almost the same in terms of depth of field, a shallow depth of field, and bokeh as a 80mm f2 Contax lens. So now the Hasselblad H system with this lens is on a par with the Contax 645 to create those super amazing shallow depth of field portraits. Now in medium format terms, there are not many camera systems that have the fast lenses. Most medium format lenses are either f2.8 or f4. So to find the 100mm f2.2, as you can imagine, I was pretty happy. Now these photos are all shot with a Hasselblad HC 100mm f2.2 lens. I shot the lens wide open to get the kind of most dreamy looking background, and this is kind of the results that you can get from this lens. Now sorry, I've not got millions of examples to show you. I've been shooting so much 35mm film recently, I've not had a huge chance to shoot a lot of 120 film. I did used to use a Hasselblad H3D31 with a film back, and I shot that quite a bit, so if you want to see more Hasselblad H system portraits, I'll put a blog link below, and also the previous Hasselblad H2 video I'll link below as well, which has also got some more photos in. So that is a very quick rave review of the Hasselblad H system and the Hasselblad HC lenses and what each lens can offer. Now if you keep an eye out on eBay, you can sometimes pick up these lenses for quite a good price. The prices do vary quite a lot depending on availability and kind of who's listing at the time, so I've not bothered mentioning prices in this video, but I'll put eBay links below to the Hasselblad H system and the HC lenses, and you can kind of check the latest prices. The best news of all is you can pick up a Hasselblad H system camera with an 80mm kit lens that looks kind of like this quite easily for less than the cost of a Leica M6. So Leica M6 at the moment is roughly £2,100. You would definitely be able to pick up a Hasselblad H system camera with lens for less than £2,000 after having a quick look on eBay. I just wanted to share this video because I get very tied up with shooting 35mm and talking Leica. But when I want my best images, I actually shoot with a Hasselblad, which may sound funny when I called myself Mr. Leica some years ago. There was a stage I was going through for a few years where people suggested I should rebrand myself Mr. Hasselblad because I was shooting pretty much all 120 film at the time with the Hasselblad 500 cameras, which is 6x6 film. As I say, if you prefer 6x6 format and manual focus, kind of slower pace, get the vintage Hasselblad 500 system. If you prefer 645 format and autofocus lenses, get the Hasselblad H system. As a portrait photographer, I much prefer to be able to shoot like an SLR and just have my nice 645 lengthways photo than composing a model in a square. Because for me, yes, square format is amazing for kind of composing a landscape, but for portraits I much prefer to kind of have a longer shot and kind of have the head and torso. Generally speaking, I tend to shoot portrait orientation rather than landscape. So that's why I've been using the H system as my main medium format camera. And just to point out, I do have quite a few medium format cameras, whether it's 645 cameras, 6x6, 6x7, and this is one of the best in terms of both image quality and usability. Usability, hands down, the Hasselblad H camera is by far the most usable, enjoyable to use / best results for the minimum effort put in camera that I use. I've used the Contax 645, I've got the Mamiya 645, I've got Fuji GA 645, I've got a Fuji GS 645, and this just blows all those out of the water. Mainly because the results are so good, but equally because it's so easy to use. It just feels natural in the hand, and you don't have to do all stupid things like stand upside down on one leg trying to do this because you're using a waist level viewfinder, for example. Talking about the Mamiya 645, or say a Hasselblad with a standard waist level finder. With a prism finder, life is much easier for kind of fast-paced model portraits, which is kind of the work I do. So I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please smash the like button and turn it blue. If you're tempted to buy a Hasselblad camera, check the eBay links or drop me a message if you need more information. And if you've not yet subscribed, although I talk mostly about Leica, there is a lot of non-Leica cameras and lenses still to come. So if you like anything to do with film cameras and lenses of any make, subscribe anyway, because you'll probably enjoy it, hopefully. Thanks for watching, and a big thanks to my patrons. Bye.